Good afternoon. I am Dr. Srinivas here once again. I have already recorded a series of lecture, mostly in the field of dermatology and few in the general field. Recently, we had our national meeting, and in that there was a panel discussion on dermatitis the non-eczematous contact dermatitis. And since I had prepared for a talk of that, I thought I will go ahead and record that. This talk is aimed at dermatologists and the people in the other specialties, other this thing may not find it all that interesting, but it will have some openers. Now, whenever one says eczema, a sort of picture comes into the mind of a person, and it evokes a different sort of picture in each person. That eczema or something is basically something that itches and weeps. So most of the eczema, which we know, are the ones in which there is oozing or there is weeping. However, all eczemas need not weep, and these eczemas or dermatitis can be of two types. One is because of the irritant or because of the allergic contact dermatitis. Contact dermatitis is something that comes from outside. Of course, we have other type of eczemas, which are the endogenous eczemas, which comes from the inside, like the atopic dermatitis, seborrheic dermatitis, pemphigus. These are the things that are endogenous in nature. And then there are certain exogenous, that is from outside, which is the contact dermatitis, which can be irritant or allergy. However, one character of all these eczemas is that in the initial stage at least, there will be a lot of oozing and weeping, and over a period of time, that becomes less. So, this talk is on that type of eczemas which does not usually have much oozing, or put it in a layman's language, weeping. This sort of eczemas can be classified as these eczemas will not look like the regular type of eczemas. They will come up camouflage or totally present as a different picture. Like it will have a picture like erythema multiforme. It can present as contact dermatitis, which is pigmented, or it can be as raised lichenoid lesion, or it can be like the acne lesions, acneiform lesion, pigmented or pustular or depigmented. Like that way, it can present in a different way, but still it is an allergic contact dermatitis, and a dermatologist should be aware that the dermatitis can occur in these persons. Contact dermatitis can occur without the classical picture and may present in a different way. So one of that is the pigmented purpuric contact dermatitis. This pigmented purpuric contact dermatitis is a peculiar form of particular form of non-eczematous contact dermatitis. Here, it is likely to remain undiagnosed for ages. The reason being, it is going to take a long time after the exposure, and sometimes even after withdrawal of the offending agent, that a person is going to develop these sort of purpuric lesions. Various agents can cause this sort of pigmented purpuric dermatitis. These could be the rubber chemicals, this could be the textile chemicals, which include the various dyes, the rubber compounds, the optical whiteners. Then plants can cause this sort of dermatitis, and numerous other chemicals can also result in the contact dermatitis, which present as pigmented purpuric contact dermatitis. And the list is here for you to see. This is a picture I downloaded. Various like IPPD, the dyes in the undergarments can cause this sort of dermatitis. So one should have a mind open. And here you won't get oozing. What you are going to get is a fine purpuric spot. And when that purpuric spot goes away, you are going to see pigmentation. It can occur in this way on the lateral side of the legs, thigh. The other form is the erythema multiforme. Erythema multiforme means erythema means redness, multiforme means it can occur in different forms. Now, this is a uh, often seen skin condition, can occur because of various reasons. Erythema multiforme due to viral infection, herpes virus infection, sometimes even due to drugs. And One of the non-eczematous is erythema multiforme. So quite often when we look up at a case of erythema multiforme, we will not be able to find history of herpes or something, but it still looks somewhat like an erythema multiforme lesion. And we should have a mind open to the fact that even contact dermatitis, especially to the wood medicaments, can cause this sort of dermatitis. If not, we will be missing the diagnosis and the person will be suffering. And having suspected it, we can go ahead and try to prove. So some of these various things, the most commonly which I have seen erythema multiforme is among the persons who are in the timber industry, especially where the sawmills are the ones where the wood seems to cause the dermatitis. And patch testing can be done with the wood dust which the person brings. We can ask them to bring different dust, label it differently, and then do the patch testing. Of course, patch testing with wood powder is a tricky thing. There should not be any hard object. Sometimes it can cause irritant dermatitis because there can be irritation over there. You may have to sometimes extract the allergens and do the patch testing. But to some extent, by doing the patch testing with the wood dust, we can prove the dermatitis. And here are some of the medicaments which can also give rise to erythema multiforme like dermatitis. These are the various substances, dyes, which can give rise to erythema multiforme like reaction. Hair dye can cause erythema multiforme like reaction. Again, it is a downloaded image. But then once we see this, we are not going to, our mind has not been trained to think of contact dermatitis in this case. And if we don't think of that, we are likely to miss the diagnosis. Sometimes erythema multiforme can be because of very remote causes. It could be an allergy to wood, and because the wood, some jewelry or bangles can be made. And there was a report wherein the Brazilian wood, rosewood, gave rise to the dermatitis by the person who used this bangle. And by testing by the bangle, the powder or the scraping from the bangle yielded positive reaction in the case of erythema multiforme. These are the various other substances which can give erythema, plants which can give rise to erythema multiforme like reaction. In these cases, we do a patch testing in erythema multiforme. The patch test need not be the classical reaction, may not be there. Sometimes we can get vesicles, sometimes bullous, sometimes urticarial lesion. So interpretation of this needs experience and of course a high degree of suspicion, because of which you have done a patch testing. The histopathology is not very specific. Like erythema multiforme has somewhat of a specific here, but here the histopathology will not be specific. It will be relatively more like a dermatitis with some amount of spongiosis, perivascular lymphocytic, and infiltrate, and mild vacuolar degeneration. So we have to do a biopsy in this case, and if the biopsy is not consistent with the regular type of erythema multiforme, then we must suspect allergic contact dermatitis or a dermatitis to some other substance, and then try to investigate, get the history, and do the patch testing to prove the diagnosis. Similarly, other set of dermatitis we can get is a lichenoid dermatitis. Like you all well know that there is a condition known as lichen planus. It is an idiopathic condition. We do not know what is the cause of the lichen planus. It is, as I told you, it is an idiopathic condition. Whereas contact with certain substances can give a pattern which may look like lichen planus, and we call them as lichenoid dermatitis. These are non-eczematous lesions. Large lesions will be pigmented to violaceous in color, and various metals, dyes can give rise to this sort of lichenoid lesions. So lichenoid lesion, there is a big list of substance. So when a person comes with lichen planus, or even unless it is a classical lichen planus, lichenoid, then we have to take a very detailed history regarding whether the person is taking antihistamine, whether they are on some drugs, whether any convulsion history is there, anti-tuberculous drug, anti-malarials, all these various drugs. Metal salts can also give rise, and metal salts can come from a different source which a person may not consider as drugs. Like we have chavanapra, so we have various tangabasmam, gold, and all is given. Even when a person, you find that even in betel pan, they put this metal leaves, silver foils are put, golden foils are put. So you will have to take a very careful history to find out if these metals have got into the person's system from some unknown source, and then you must try to identify and see, try to eliminate the risks. So here is one, because again, it's a downloaded image because of the hair dye, and we have seen it in case of kumkum. Kumkum bindi is a thing which people wear, especially the ladies use it. Even gents also use kumkum, and we have done some work in this. Kumkum is nothing but turmeric and lime, which is mixed together. Very rarely, turmeric can also cause allergy, which has been reported by us, but more often it is because of the various dyes that is added to this kumkum to give rise to the color, which is responsible for that. And we have done some work on this. This is a lady who came with dermatitis, who tested positive to the kumkum. You ask the person to bring the various brands of kumkum from the temple, and then the turmeric powder, and then you do the patch testing in this to find out whether the person is allergic. So this is another case of kumkum dermatitis in a man who has it. Men is relatively easy. You tell them don't apply kumkum. It is an acceptable thing to them. Okay, they can stop it at any time. With women, it is a bigger problem. And in one case, as I said, we were able to prove allergy even to turmeric. And in South India, people have the habit of applying turmeric all over the face for it is an antioxidant, and it's very popular over here. And if a person is allergic to turmeric and a person comes to you with itching on the face, pigmentation on the face, one of the questions to be asked is, are they applying turmeric over the face? The histopathology of this will have some resemblance to lichen planus, but then there will be differences which a pathologist can help us to find out. Here we may get spongiosis, here hypergranulosis may or may not be there. Basal cell degeneration, which is present very prominent in lichen planus, may be less prominent over here. Incontinence also is relatively less prominent over here in the lichenoid eruption. Another place where we get lichenoid eruption is in the oral mucosa following the dental fillings. Amalgam fillings can give rise. And the treatment of that is removing the mercuric amalgam over there. If you do patch testing with that, you will get positive to mercury. So removal of the amalgam and filling it with ceramic amalgam can result in cure of a person who has got a lichenoid dermatitis or lichen planus in the oral mucosa. Especially it occurs in the cheek, inner aspect of the buccal mucosa. Then there can be pigmented contact dermatitis, as I said. Uh, Even the bindi can also cause pigmented contact dermatitis. The whole face can be involved in that. Dyes can cause pigmented contact dermatitis. So we will have to ask history whether a person is using hair dye, and some will tell we are using only the hair dye henna. Unfortunately, the henna which is sold in the market for dyeing the hair is often um, uh, they mix the various chemicals like paraffin and diamine and all. It is adulterated or intentionally mixed with that, and that will can also cause the dermatitis. These are the various substances which can cause pigmented contact dermatitis. Fragrance can cause, you go on applying the fragrance, it can cause phototoxicity, photo allergy can be caused by fragrance, and that can cause the pigmentation. The hair cosmetic dyes, various, as I told you, kumkum can cause, various fragrances can cause, which are there in maybe shaving cream, it can be there in the aftershave lotion, like musk ambret is a well-known culprit, and still musk is available in India. People do use it. So you have to ask them, do you use aftershave lotion? What do you use for shaving? And try to find out whether they have got a phototoxic dermatitis or a photoallergic dermatitis, which again is a dermatitis which can present with pigmentation but no weeping as we would expect in a classical dermatitis. Then there are optical whiteness which are added, the pyrazoline optical brightness. These are also known to cause pigmented. So a person has got a pigmentation over the body. Then you find out whether they are washing the clothes using the whiteness, which can be added to the washing soap itself. May have whiteness. They might be using it separately in as an individual. So you'll have to try to identify. These are all long tasks, laborious tasks, requires a lot of patience both on the part of the doctor as well as the physician. But if you do identify, there is a lot of satisfaction involved. Sometimes we can get pustular type of contact dermatitis, like to metallic salts, to nitrofurazone, especially chromium. When we do patch testing, also we can get pustular contact dermatitis. So that is another place where, and it is not a classical type of dermatitis which we get in that. So pustular acneiform eruptions can occur because of the various oils, tars which are there. Cutting fluids can cause acne, acneiform eruptions can cause various other type of dermatitis. So folliculitis can be there because of the oil, the occlusive clothing. Especially now, I'm seeing few cases of the because of the mask. Yesterday, a patient came to me with multiple tiny pustules all over the face, and that was exactly on the side of the mask which the person was wearing. So we can get because of some drugs we can get this again is a downloaded image. Some creams can cause. Then another type of dermatitis, contact dermatitis, is known as the dyshydrosiform contact dermatitis, which we also call as pompholyx, which can present as tiny vesicles on the sides of the finger, wherein it's very difficult to do. In some of these cases, when we do the patch testing, we may get nickel positivity, but in many cases, we don't. So quite often, the allergic contact dermatitis can present as endogenous contact dermatitis. And quite often, the endogenous contact dermatitis and the various other type of dermatitis, be it allergic, irritant, can come. So these various dermatitis can join together to bacillus, and we need to find out, isolate what is responsible for which, try to identify the various substances which can cause the dermatitis, and try to make help a person avoid that cause to bring about improvement in these cases. We have seen a very interesting case of a surgeon who was going about with vitiligo like lesions. It was involving the neck, it was involving the ears and all. Then it's a very well known surgeon. And we patched, we took out a piece of ear in that, a ear piece of this, and we did a patch test with that. And we were able to bring about the induce the depigmentation with the scraping of the stethoscope material phthalates with that. We identified what is the chemical in that. We identified it was phthalates, PVC, which is there, which can induce the contact depigmentation. Likewise, in the footwear, it can cause. Footwear causes like MBT in the rubber chemicals in the footwear can also cause contact depigmentation. And in these persons, you will find that they may not have any dermatitis. Likewise, the hair dye especially can cause depigmentation. You will find in the area of the mustache, they will have depigmentation. In those persons you suspect, and they may have certain lesions elsewhere. Quite often, I find that in a person who already has vitiligo, in those persons, they tend to develop the contact depigmentation due to chemicals much more easily than a person who does not have a vitiligo tendency. So, thus, contact dermatitis is a very interesting specialty. Unfortunately, has not drawn as much interest as the other subspecialties. And in the chapter of contact dermatitis, the non-eczematous contact dermatitis requires lot more thinking, lot more analysis. But then that is what we are here for, to find out the cause, eliminate the cause, help the patient, and in the process, draw satisfaction. Thank you.